Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to today's live session. I'm very excited for the amazing conversation that we are going to have today because it is finally going to address one of the major blocks that stop you from taking action and from actually creating change in your life. And this thought of doing today's session was inspired by a podcast I heard, I think, a couple of weeks ago between Brene Brown and Adam Grant, two people who are my favorite authors and researchers in the field of human behavior, emotions, and psychology. And if you had to think about them, if you don't know them, that is, that's why I'm giving you this brief here. That Brene Brown is someone who talks a lot about emotions and about how we feel, while Adam Grant is a lot more logical in his approach to things and he looks more at the scientific data. But together, in the podcast that they've recently started called The Curiosity Shop, they've found a perfect balance between creativity and logic, and the conversations that happen there are truly incredible and insightful. So, if you want to go check it out, I highly recommend it. It's become one of my favorite podcasts these days. But the one I'm talking about is the second episode of the podcast they released a couple of weeks ago. When I first read the title, I was a bit surprised by it. It's like, how are they even saying something like this in the start? The title of the podcast was How This Podcast Could Fail. Think about it. You're starting something new, and when you've started that new thing, the very first discussion that you're having after an introductory discussion is how could this podcast fail? Now, a lot of us are not used to thinking in that way at all. In fact, if you're used to manifesting our success and we think about our goals from the lens of, I want to think positive and I want to achieve more, then this feels like the worst thought to have. Right? No, 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 no. I don't want to manifest failure. So I'm not going to think about how my thing could fail. But actually, their perspective there is not about manifesting failure, but rather preparing for it through a beautiful concept called the pre-mortem. Now, I absolutely loved it when I heard about this concept from them because in life, there are a lot of times and situations in which you do a post-mortem of what has happened. Like a mistake has happened, a problem has come up, a challenge has come up, and we failed in it. And after that failure, we are sitting down and we are reflecting what went wrong. Now, that reflection is useful. I'm not saying it's not, but it's in hindsight. And it's a very lagging indicator of the progress that you're making in your life rather than something that leads you towards a better future right in the moment. And that is why postmortems are useful, but only for analysis, not for action or change. You can do any and all analysis of your past actions, but ultimately, what matters is the choices you're making today, right? Which is where the skill of being able to do a pre mortem matter a lot more. Rather than manifesting failure, you think about the ways, the barriers, the challenges that could actually make your project or your work fail. And as a result of that, what will happen is you will gain an understanding of the barriers you need to be ready for, of the extra preparation you need to have, and of the challenges that may be there on the way, because of which then change or growth or whatever your expected outcome is, that becomes harder or impossible to attain. When you're aware of the challenge, it cannot catch you by surprise. When you're aware of the barriers, when you're aware of your own policies, rather than running away from them, you will be able to face them with courage and strength. So, this idea of doing a pre mortem has been a very beautiful one that I learned from systems thinking before, but now I had a proper word to describe it. That, yeah, I'm thinking about the ways my work could fail, and rather than manifesting the failure, I'm just preparing myself better for it by being aware of all the different aspects, not just the positive side. And the beauty that has brought that perspective has brought in for me is that now in everything I'm doing, I'm able to look at it from a balanced lens. It's not all positive, it's not all negative. I'm aware of how the failures could happen, so I'm better prepared, and I'm also ready for the success and the work or the effort that success is going to require. So it's a very balanced and realistic approach to creating extraordinary results in life. So I have done this even for my coaching sessions, for my YouTube sessions, and for every other thing. And as I did these pre-mortems, right, and I thought about how could this coaching fail, or how could this go wrong, or how could I end up making a mistake because of which there's a blunder, and then the whole thing is just blown up in my face. Having asked those questions, I recognized a very powerful pattern. And I asked myself that how would my coaching fail if I were to work with someone for 3 months and they would not get the results? I know it's a pretty crazy question to ask, but I actually did ask myself. And I realized the answer was, if I just give them knowledge, the coaching will fail. Now, a lot of times, if you look at a normal coaching session, when you come in with me, you're going to have completely different experiences. Like, people love the experiences they have when they're in the coaching sessions. But in general, it's more about imparting wisdom and awareness and knowledge to the other person, right? But I found out through research and through my own experience of working with people that knowledge is never something that changes behavior. My pre-mortem allowed me to solidify this for my coaching so that I can guarantee and create incredible results. But for now, the conversation that matters for you is, why are you stuck up in change and why you are not able to make it happen? Because you are looking for too much knowledge, which you already have, and you're assuming knowledge and awareness will get you all the changes that you need to get. That sounds logical, but that's the problem. It's logical, it's not human. And human beings are so illogical. We all know our everyday lives are a representation of that, right? Like, if you tell a person, if knowledge was enough to change people, here's what would happen. Let's say you see someone who smokes, and you tell the person, hey buddy, have you really thought about the idea that smoking is bad for your health? That it's literally killing your lungs and breeding cancer into your body that's going to make you die early? Is it a possibility that the smoker is not aware of that at all? Not at all. The packet of the cigarette itself has the photo of that cancer to deter people away. But still, people go for it. Still, people buy it. Still, people smoke it. And a lot of times, there's a lot of guilt that's attached to it. They know they need to change. They know they must change. They know they must create a breakthrough for themselves. And they're thinking, maybe I don't know enough yet. So they're searching for more knowledge. But what more would you need to know about smoking or drinking or any other harmful addiction than the fact that it's literally putting your life on the line? Yet, the knowledge doesn't change people. People are aware that drinking a lot of alcohol is injurious to your liver, yet they'll go back and drink every weekend. Just like that. It's not a it's not a surprise that Netflix or social media and all these other platforms are growing at such a rapid pace, and they're taking us away from external lives. In fact, I see this news coming up often that in a certain country social media has been banned for a certain age, or in a certain country it has been reduced to a certain level. And honestly, those laws feel like a very surface level solution, because they assume that the problem is in the tool when the problem of addiction is in the human behavior. People know that excessive social media is bad for them. People know that spending way too much time on movies and wrecking your sleep schedule is bad. Yet we keep going back and doing it. The problem is we don't answer the second question. We don't ask ourselves, why is it that despite the knowledge, I'm still not able to change? And that's the question I want to help you understand today and help you answer. And the simplest way to understand this difference is to recognize this: knowledge does not create agency and urgency. Write this down if you'd like to. But the two critical aspects, or the two critical ingredients required to create a transformation and change, are agency and urgency. It's like, without these two elements, the reaction of transformation cannot happen in your life. Think of it as an equation like that: agency plus urgency equals transformation. Knowledge does not equal transformation. Knowledge only equals awareness. The mistake we make is we assume the knowledge is enough to create the transformation, but human behavior does not work just on what we think rationally. It works on the patterns deep inside into the old brain, or the monkey brain, as you might call it. And there, no matter how much you try, if you're not aware, if you're not in control, if you don't have agency, the problem that's going to happen is, no matter how well your prefrontal cortex or modern brain thinks, how logical it is, how much guilt it feels after doing the wrong things, you're still going to do the wrong things and you're not going to be able to change unless you have agency and urgency. Now, let me define these two terms for you. The whole transformation equation is going to become super clear for you, and you'll know exactly what you need to do to create any breakthrough in your life in any area. So, agency essentially means the ability to choose and the ability to be independent about your own life. That's it. That's what the word agency means. If there's someone who says, my life is a mess, I'm trying everything and I don't know, but things are just not working out. I go to the office, I come back home, I waste time online. It's like there's no purpose in my life. That's the problem that I'm going through. But what can I do? I have to do the job to pay my bills, to support myself. People who talk in this low energy and draining and longing tone as if they're the sufferers of a life that someone has forced upon them, not the life that they have chosen themselves. So their biggest problem is they have low agency. They believe they don't have enough control over their lives. And because they believe that thought, are they able to create change? Not at all, because in their mind it's like this: I'm not responsible for this, right? Other people are responsible for this. And as long as other people are responsible, your life does not change, but you get to feel good because at least I'm not at fault. So if you want to create change in any area of your life, forget the knowledge for now. Ask yourself, are you willing to accept responsibility, and are you willing to accept the fact that your life is always your choice? It has been, it always will be. For a lot of us, that's a pretty harsh reality to get in touch with, but it's a powerful reality to understand because it's the truth ultimately. We are the products of our choices, our decisions, and our thoughts. Now, you can continue to blame and live in your illusion, or you can start creating the life you want by first accepting agency and building your agency to do things, your agency to use your free will, your agency to transform your life to the next level and take it to a higher level where you accept responsibility rather than deflecting it and pushing it away. But that's only one half of the equation, because there can be someone who has high agency, someone who believes, I know I'm the controller of it all. I'm very aware of my patterns. I'm very aware of the fact that no one else is to blame for this except me, but I don't know, I'm just not able to change. Still, people can have this doubt. Well, that comes because the second element might be missing, and that is urgency. Simply put, how important is that change really for you? You've survived so many years without it. How many more years can you still survive without it? If your answer is yeah, I can, you're not willing to change it, and you won't change because the human mind is aligned to a simple principle: survival of the fittest, which drives us to conserve our energy, be it physical or mental. And if something's not urgent or important enough, why the hell is your mind going to spend time thinking about that, worrying about that, taking action on that? It's not. Procrastination, laziness, tiredness, escapism, all of those things are going to happen, and change is not going to happen because even though you have agency and you're feeling very pathetic about yourself for not being able to change despite knowing it's all in your hands, it's because it's not urgent enough for you to change. Like, think about it this way: if, let's say, you get to know from the doctor tomorrow, God forbid, that you only have 6 months left to live, will you still spend your time in the same meaningless ways you're spending your time today? Will you still have that same drooling way of going through your days as if it's just a maze that you have no idea how to walk out of? No, you will be clear, you will have standards, you will have focus, you will have connection, and you will have the ability to take action. But that only happens when the urgency is so high, your mind is clear. It's now or never. That's it. When you have agency to believe that you can change and you know that it's now or never and you have to change, transformation happens. First on the inside, then on the outside. In this whole equation, knowledge is nowhere near. Yes, knowledge is important for awareness because awareness triggers the thought that I need to change, but that alone is not enough. If your agency is low and you're not urgent enough or important enough for the change yet, you can try all you want, you can gain all the knowledge in the world you want, you can gain all the wonderful concepts that are there outside, but nothing will change. You can read all the philosophers from Lao Tzu to Epictetus to modern philosophers like Ralph Waldo Emerson and Franz Kafka and so many others, and intellectualize yourself, and yet with that knowledge still not be able to change. The only thing is there agency and is there urgency? Now, when that's there, that's when people enroll in the coaching because they are willing to change. They take massive action with me, and magic starts to happen in their life in almost every single area. I'm very amazed by how that process happens, but it would not have happened had I not done the pre mortem that I learnt about from Brene Brown and Adam Grant, to see how my work would fail. And that's when I realized this basic truth about human behavior, that knowledge never creates change. Agency and urgency is what creates transformation. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope this has given you more clarity on where you may be stuck. If you've not been able to change, and if you're feeling that your life is not moving forward, ask yourself this: what are your agency and urgency levels? They're probably lower than what is required to instigate the reaction of a massive transformation. So focus on raising them, focus on bringing them higher, and your life will start to change in miraculous ways you may not have ever expected. Thank you so much for being here today. I really hope this was value for your time. I always try my best to make it value of your time. So I show up with a bit of new insights, a bit of new ideas to help you get the core principles that transformation requires. And I'll see you once again tomorrow at the same time. That is 8:30 p.m. IST. Till then, keep reflecting and keep maximizing your equation for transformation so you can take action on everything that is important to you. Thank you so much. Bye. See you soon.